Well, in our first hour, you should remember because we just had it on, but if you're just joining us, Gloria Stella is with us, and she and her husband Robert and I got to talk about marriage and a marriage conference that's coming up. But now I'm going to get to talk with Gloria and her sister Hannah Price about something really cool, I think, as we're talking about women who are finding their calling and their purpose and just finding that in general. To see them going after this like they are is really, really inspiring and very encouraging. They have started a production company to produce faith-based films. And so without further ado, please help me welcome back Gloria, and then welcome also her sister Hannah. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate it. And I just love you guys. I mean, as soon as you walked in, I'm like, oh my gosh, my sister Breen and I are so super close. It's crazy. And but weren't as much when we were younger because I'm 5 years older. So how far apart? I want to ask who's the older or the younger, but how far apart are you?
4 years.
Okay, so pretty close. I mean, 5 years, yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like, because I'm the older of the, she's 5 years younger than me, and I a lot of times felt like, I had to be the responsible one and take care of my little sister. Oh, okay, you're telling right now.
well, the thing is that I grew up, I was not the most socially popular person, so I was
She's
a bit
awkward.
I was a big dork, so I didn't have many friends, so I kind of tagged along with her and her friends.
Oh, I can't see that.
Which is weird because I'm the younger one.
That's okay. That's okay. Hey, whatever works, right? That's why God gave you to her at the time that he did, so she could have friends 4 years younger.
But now we're like best friends.
Oh, yeah.
But she actually wants to be my friend, so it's much better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That does work. Yeah. My sister, I mean, since, she got out of those teen years and we both had our, families and just got into adulthood and all that, it just became so natural. And it's something I'm still beginning to see develop in my own daughters. They're 2.5 years apart. And so there's been a lot of just that sibling stuff going on. And, but I knew once they got to be older, it was going to start to smoothen out. And it is. They're 19 and 17 now. So I'm starting to get to see some of the sweet stuff. So parents of younger girls, and you're dealing with sisters and all of that, we want to give you some hope, right?
There is hope.
3 examples: you guys, me, and my sister, and then even my daughter. So, but we've got some time to talk about your movie, Streiker, the movie, and I want to make sure that we get the spelling right because there you go, it's on the screen. I am super, super intrigued, and I will be honest with you. I love the fact that you and I got to talk ahead of time, Gloria, about how this isn't just the normal genre of Christian films, which they have their place and they're incredible, and there's definitely a niche for that. There's definitely an audience. I think we all go to those movies and we all support those movies, but there's kind of that gap that at this point hasn't really found its audience yet.
Right.
And those are faith-based, faith stories that are not quite as obvious, maybe.
Right.
Would you say that that's...
Yeah, I think that because a lot of the things that we hear from people about faith-based films, that if they're not Christian and they know it's a faith-based film, they are probably not going to go see it. And I said, well, we want to reach the people who would normally not go see a faith-based film, but we still want to get them the message. So we want to advertise it like a secular film, a mainstream film, and then show them the story, and then kind of say, now look at this from the perspective of God and who he is in your life.
And Jesus used parables all the time. And he did that to connect with the everyday person in a way that they could understand and identify with the relational aspect, so that they could begin to see God as a relationship that he was introducing to them. Would you not agree? You're smiling. So am I on the right track here?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So, I mean, to me, that's a lot of what it sounds like is this, Streiker movie. And I know a little bit about the story. So let's back up just a hair. And Hannah, why don't you tell us a little bit about the story, Streiker, and where that came from?
Oh goodness, it's actually, we were probably
say what it's about first.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, it's a story of this reclusive billionaire, and he proposes marriage to this regular, just average bank teller. There's not really anything spectacular or great about her, but the premise is that she has to agree to marry him without ever meeting him, basically, and they talk and things like that. But basically, she's got all these dreams, but she has to be willing to kind of, in her eyes, give up her freedom and be tied down to this husband that she's never even seen his face. but he has all this money that could basically make all her dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
And so
she's very independent. She doesn't know if that's worth it. It's an allegory of God's relationship with us, whereas Streiker, the billionaire, Streiker, represents God, and then Adair, who's the main female in the movie, is mankind. And I love this is based off a book by Robin Hardy called Streiker's Bride. It's a 3-book saga that she wrote in the early 1990s, and it was one of the best Christian fiction novels from Christianity Today. So a lot of people have read the series. And one of the things that one of the Amazon reviews said on her book was that they read it, and at the end of the book, they thought, well, that was a silly book. That's not even realistic. Why would this, great personality, protective, wonderful billionaire, want to marry this girl who's really kind of shallow and dense and a little bit selfish and nothing special about her? It doesn't even make sense why he would even love her like that. And then the reviewer said, but then when I realized it was an allegory, he said, I've never been so forcibly struck by the relative relationship between me and God, because we are mankind and there's really nothing that great about us. There's a lot of things wrong about mankind, a lot of things we do wrong and selfishly, but this God who's so powerful and creative and created everything would desire so much to be in a relationship with us. So we're trying to portray that same feeling to people who may have a different notion of who God is.
And I love it because in Romans, Paul teaches us through there that it's the loving kindness of God that draws us to repentance. And repentance is just a change of thinking. It's change of direction, but it preceded by that is a change of our thoughts and what we think about. And so when we look at this story, and the love of God initiated the relationship we have with him, that initiated that repentance on our part. And so what stage are you at with production?
Well, we call it in development. We've been doing this for 2 years, and that's basically where we get the business side and the legalities and a lot of research and just paperwork and stuff together.
I understand. I lead a nonprofit and an LLC. I totally get what you're talking about.
So gearing up for pre-production, that means Hannah's the co-producer and screenwriter. So she adapted the novel into a screenplay. And why don't you tell the story about how this started?
Yes, please do, Hannah.
Oh, well,
I had to let her talk.
She talks a lot.
Yeah, she told me so. You talk a lot.
Oh my gosh, my sister and I interrupt each other all the time. It's okay.
Well, we loved this book. We read it in middle school, and it was one of those books that we read, and we always, throughout our lives, when we were growing up, we were like, this would make a great movie. Like, it's just one of those books. This would look awesome on the movie screen. And then as we got older and Gloria got involved in film, and I've acted a lot, and I started writing and things like that, Gloria finally was like, why don't we just do this? Why don't we do it? Obviously nobody else is going to do it. Let's do it. This needs to be a movie. So I started writing it, and I think a little bit while after I started writing it, I found out that I was pregnant with my second child. And so I was writing, and at the time
the deadline was her due date because she had to get the screenplay finished by her due date.
Yes, and I had an 18-month-old at the time, so this is not
an easy time.
Oh,
but now we're about to go into production, and she's pregnant with her third child. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you. Since this production makes her pregnant. So.
Yeah, so we need to hurry and finish this movie because I can't handle that many more children.
So y'all chose this story just because of how much it touched you,
Yes,
as readers, and then also to know that it was a bestseller, correct? So I mean, so many people. I need to read it. I've never read it, but I'm very intrigued.
Streiker's Bride, and we shortened it to Streiker for the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so you're in pre-production right now, and if people want to find out about the movie and stay kind of in the know and all of that to get your fan base going, how would people get connected?
Yeah, they can find general information from the website streikermovie.com, but if they really want to stay up to date with what's going on, and we write regular blogs so people will keep up with the what's going on and casting notices, and when we start getting into all that, they can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/StreikerMovie. Remember, Streiker's Streiker movie. And keep up with us there.
And find out. So what right now, what is your your due date for having the movie ready?
We'd like to have it out by next year, by the end of next year.
Yeah, and it really is a big production to put a movie together. I mean, that's not even my world, but I've got friends in that world, and it just blows me away.
Yeah, we just had one movie that hit, that went into theaters that I was on the producers unit of, Stand Your Ground, and it was in several theaters in the area.
I'm very familiar with that one, yeah.
But it took us probably 2 or 3 years from the time that they decided to make it a movie to go through the script writing process and actually get it out. So it takes several years to get something like that going.
So for putting on a movie, you've got to have your crew and you've got to have your actors and actresses. Where are y'all at with that? Are you looking for that?
No, we have not even started. During pre-production is when we start really booking our crew, start casting, start assembling our locations and all that stuff. So we're just gearing up to go into that.
So if you've got people who are watching, because I know we've got Atlanta is, and the Georgia, our state is a huge movie production state now. Would you be open to people contacting you for that information?
Yeah, I would advise that they like us on Facebook because, like I said, we'll post any casting notices, any crew calls. We'll post it on our Facebook page, so they can keep in touch with us there.
All right, so that's your first movie. And I just want the scoop. If you've already started talking about, once this done, we'd really love to do, or y'all still just really focused on this one?
We have a couple. We'd like to do the whole series. Like I said, it's a 3-book saga. But then my father had a very interesting upbringing where he was kidnapped by my grandfather, and they lived on the streets of Mexico as beggars for 7 years, and he was declared dead and brought back, escaped back into the United States. Crazy story. And we always said, we've got to make that a movie. So I'm
so excited for both of you. It really is. I mean, when you like Evelyn and I were talking about in the first part of the first hour about women finding their calling and finding their purpose, and for y'all to be as young as you are and to already be walking in that, what would you say to our viewers who are, they're thinking, oh my goodness, they created a production company. I can't even imagine doing something like that. What would you say to encourage them in finding their purpose, finding their calling? What would you say? Try this first, or this is a good first step if you're just totally lost or totally scared.
Definitely what she was saying, to start where you are. And that's really important. We didn't just wake up overnight and like, hey, let's make a movie, It's definitely, and I also want to say that God puts the passions in your heart for a reason, and this all started back in high school. I started acting, and then I started writing, and then we went to the church, and now I actually write a lot of productions for our dad's church down in Florida. And it grows from there. You have to start where you are and figure out your passion, what God's called you to do, and start with what you have. Of course you're going to have dreams about where you want to end up, but don't try and say, oh, well, if I can't do this, if I can't make a movie, then I'm not even going to try. You have to start with the little stuff and work your way up.
I'm a big advocate. I mean, I could go on hours talking about my testimony of how I got to where I am, because it is only by the grace of God that I even got the opportunities that I got, because I'm not big on self-promotion. I didn't even know where to start. But what God showed me was be faithful. And I hated it, because whenever I asked someone who was in the entertainment industry and I said, what do I need to do to make it? I wanted an answer that said, okay, go
step 1, step 2, step 3.
Go on this website, find this crew call, and go do that. And they never gave me that answer. They said, just pray and be faithful with what God's giving you. And I thought, that's a very unhelpful answer. Now, several years later, that's my answer. I mean,
I can absolutely identify with you. My world is writing and speaking, and so I've written books and that kind of thing. And so people ask me, well, how did you get a publisher? How did you do this? How did you do that? And it really goes back to whatever God leads you to do today, be faithful with that today.
You don't know what opportunities
what those steps are going to lead to,
or what people are going to come. We call him Pastor Jensen Franklin. He wrote a book called Right People, Right Place, Right Time. And I love that, because when you are faithful with what God is telling you to do now, whether that is volunteer in the Sunday school room or, go clean toilets somewhere, be very diligent above and beyond what he's told you to do. He knows where to find you. He knows how to bring the right people to you at the right time, at the right place, to take you to the next step of where he wants you to be. And he will open doors that for me blew me away, that I did not deserve, that I just took me totally off guard. And he has blessed me tremendously career-wise.
Absolutely. I can totally attest to what you're saying. And it really does. It takes the pressure off of us to try to figure out the formula, try to make it happen, and then continues to just put the glory back where it belongs, and that's on Jesus. So we are going to get to see a little teaser for the movie, and I'm really excited about this because I watched it online earlier, and it's really great.
But it's different than a trailer. A trailer is when they've shot the movie and they have footage to show you. A teaser is when they have not shot anything and they're just giving you a little hint of, what it might be about.
But this is done really well, which says a lot about you and what you're doing production-wise. So I'm really excited about that. So right now we're going to go ahead and see the teaser for Streiker movie. It looks great, doesn't it? It looks really, really good. I'm really impressed.
She's really talented.
That's incredible. I mean, and I love that, and I hope I say it right, even if it's true, is he worth the risk?
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of non-church or non-believers are like, even if it's true. And a lot of times it's because of the reputation God has or the way that God has been represented. And so what would you say to your potential audience, to the person you're trying to reach with this movie?
Absolutely. It's worth the risk. The movie definitely speaks to, as humanity, our need for independence. You kind of grow up and you learn that, oh, no, I have to take care of myself. I have to do it all myself. And if I let somebody else be in control, then things might not go exactly the way I want. It might not go the way that I've always dreamed they would go. But the great thing about God is that it may not go the way that you planned, but his plan is so much better and so much greater than anything you could have ever dreamed on by yourself.
Absolutely. What about you, Gloria?
I mean, pretty much the same thing. That whole teaser is filled with allegories of each statement, because I think the big issue with her was holding on to her independence and wanting to fight it, and wanting is he worth it? She can't even meet him, and she has to commit her life to him without even knowing him, and we're saying, watch the movie and get a feel for God loves you. He's not, I think some of the preconceptions that people have, especially in the United States, where, Jesus and Christianity is so prevalent and everyone's got their own opinions. They've heard it from somewhere. And we want them to come in without knowing that it's a Christian movie, without a pretense up, without their guards up. Just come in, enjoy the movie, watch, get involved in the story, and watch how this man loves this girl, and accepts her and has so much grace for her. Now, it's an allegory, so that means it's not going to be exact. You can never make an exact example of who God is and his relationship with us. But I think it's a good start for showcasing God's immense love for mankind. Absolutely. That he's up there trying to judge us.
I love it. I am so excited for you guys. I'm so glad that we met. I love meeting women who live their lives on purpose, and y'all are definitely doing that. So thank you so much. Make sure that you check out streikerthemovie.com, and then also the Facebook is the best place to go, facebook.com, and then
/Streiker movie.
Yeah, and make sure you spell it right too, and it's on the bottom of your screen, so you've got that. And if you have any questions, you can also call us, and we will get all that information to you as well.